I'm Rick Kaler. Thanks for joining me. Life insurance is an important financial planning resource. However, it's not meant as a source of income. Its primary purpose is to provide the means to replace income or to pay taxes or debts, and not everyone needs it. Once you determine whether you need life insurance, the next big question is how much do you need? Well, here's one way to help answer that question. It's not a formula, but a pretty rough checklist to help you come up with an estimate of your individual insurance needs. For couples, I suggest separate lists because not all of the information is going to be the same for each spouse. So, to start, list the following. List all of your debts. That's mortgage, credit cards, car loans, student loans, things of this type. Then list your anticipated kids' college education needs. And if in doubt, use $120,000 per child. Next, estimated annual living expenses multiplied by 1.33. And multiplied again by the number of years from now until the youngest child graduates from college. So let's say you need to make this easy for the math, $50,000 a year to live on, and your youngest child's going to be home for 10 years. That'd be $50,000 times 1.33, which is roughly, I didn't make this too easy, did I? $66,500 times 10, which is $665,000. Now make some estimates for large one-time future expenses for which you don't have any savings. So these would be car purchases and weddings, major home repairs, updates to the home, relocation expenses, educational costs for surviving spouse, just every large one-time expense you can think of. And finally, the annual amount of all maximum contributions allowed to all retirement plans. So, ideally, this would be the amount that you know you need to be putting away each year to fully fund your retirement. If you have a number of assets and you don't need to be maxing everything, that's one thing. But if in doubt, use $64,000 a year and multiply that by the difference between age 70 and your current age. So if you're 50, it's $64,000 a year times 20. And for couples, figure each spouse's total separately as part of their individual checklists. So the last item is something people often don't think of as a need that life insurance might cover, which is your retirement plan funding. It's especially important to consider this for anyone within a decade or so of retirement. I mean, suppose you are widowed at age 55. Losing your spouse's earnings would affect your immediate income, of course. But in addition, losing the contributions your spouse would have made to the retirement accounts could severely reduce your retirement income. The impact could be especially significant if the surviving spouse isn't employed or earns much less than the deceased spouse. Now, total all those items, and the amount will probably be large enough to scare you, but don't panic. Now let's make a second list. First thing to list is the estimated annual income that would continue after one spouse's death from any income, like from real estate or business investments, partnerships, and especially if the surviving spouse is going to be employed outside of the home. And then multiply that by the number of years that was in the third one above that I listed, which was the number of years between now and when the youngest child graduates from college. Then lists the estimated annual income that would start upon one spouse's death. So that would be Social Security, survivor's benefits, pension income, workers' compensation, and multiply that by the same number of years. Next lists the estimated total of any liquid assets, like securities or mutual funds, that would be held at the time of one spouse's death. And finally, list any insurance proceeds from other policies. Now add all these together and then subtract that total from the total of your first list. The result should give you an idea how much life insurance would be appropriate for you. Now this total still may seem overwhelmingly large, especially for parents of young children. The answer in most cases is term life insurance. So here's two examples, and I took these from the March 27 NerdWallet article by Barbara Marquand, comparing term and whole life insurance. The first is a 30-year-old man could buy $1 million 30-year term policy, so that would get him until age 60, for $720 a year. Now the same amount of whole life insurance would cost him over 10 times, $9,217 a year. By the time the term policy expired at age 60, he should no longer need that much coverage. Second example would be a 50-year-old woman who could cover her retirement plan contributions with a $500,000 20-year term policy. Her premiums would be $898 a year compared to $10,802 for whole life insurance. So this approach can help you make sure that you're adequately insured and that you don't waste money on insurance that isn't right for your needs. Thanks for listening.